Good morning, everyone. My name is Suzanne Smith, and I'm the Provost Vice President for Academic Affairs here at Georgia Southwestern. It's my pleasure to welcome you here on behalf of GSW today to our campus and to thank you for your attendance, both virtually and face-to-face here. For those of you that are attending for Windows to the World credit, it's very dramatic. For Windows to the World credit, if you haven't gotten scanned, at the end of the session today, people will be at the back of the room at the table down here, so you can pop downstairs and get scanned on your way out. So this is a very special event for us here on campus. We are excited to have you all here. We're especially happy to be able to partner with Furlough Charter School and some of our other community partners. We all share a commitment to educating people about the importance of creating an environment that affirms diversity of individuals as well as diversity of opinion. I'd like to extend my thanks to those of you that have shared your time with us today and your talents, and the conversations and sessions so far this morning have been very inspirational, and I appreciate your time and your being here. Today, I have the honor of introducing our keynote speaker, Mr. Jose Perez, who's a member of the Board of Regents for the University System of Georgia and represents Georgia's 7th Congressional District. He lives in the city of Peachtree Corners in Gwinnett County and has been a resident there for 35 years. Regent Perez is a familiar face to education. He served on the Board of Education representing the 7th Congressional District from 2004 to 2011, and represented Georgia on the board of the National State Boards of Education. Currently, he's a commissioner in the State Charter School Commission. Mr. Perez is the retired president of Target Market Trends Incorporated, a business consulting firm that he started in 2002. TMT helps clients develop strategies to target their markets and increase revenues. He also spent 25 years and retired from Bell South, working in various management capacities as well as an international consultant with Gartner Inc. Mr. Perez was an American born in Cuba. His parents sent him to live with his grandparents in Key West, Florida at the age of 12 to escape Castro's regime. He lived in Florida, South Carolina, Texas, and New Jersey before settling in Peachtree Corners, Georgia in 1983. He's married to Yolanda, and they have 3 children, Annabelle, David, and Daniel. All are products of the Gwinnett County Public School System and the University of Georgia. Mr. Perez has a MA in economics from Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, Florida, and strongly believes that preparation and determination are the keys to success. Please help me in welcoming Regent Perez to the stage.
Thank you, Suzanne. Is it working all right? You can all hear me. I'm going to stay down here. I'm a nervous kind of guy, and I walk around, and I'm willing to approach you because I don't hear well. So I'm hard of hearing. I wear hearing aids. By the way, this is after Mama Peace. This is a real tough act to follow. So I'm a little nervous about it, even though I've spoken in many different places. I want you to notice that this says Jose Perez, not the Board of Regents. Okay? This is close and dear to my heart that I'm pushing and trying to generate in what I'm presenting to you today is a dream. It is a dream that I hope we can make happen, and I'm doing my part to make it happen. It is about a peace park in Atlanta. A peace park that will be the home for many peace laureates, statues, and that we're working hard to make happen. And that conversation came to be with Rodney Cook. And I believe in coincidences, and I was expressing that before. There is a group of us, I'm not going into a tangent, a group of us Cubans, and I say Cuban because I was born in Cuba, but I came when I was 12. The rest of my education and living has been here. If you were to drop me in Cuba today, I probably would not be able to function. clearly. But we, those of us that came young, we call ourselves the .5s. Anybody heard that before? You know, you've got the immigrants, you've got the first generation. Well, we're neither. We're immigrants, but we were young enough to be real Americans in the sense that we came young and everything was here. So I believe that most everything has to do with culture, whatever we acquire, whatever we live with, etc. So we have become very close friends with about 5 couples that are very similar. My wife is also born in Cuba, and she came young. And these other couples are also man and wife born in Cuba. They met here, but and their education is mostly here. Some came later, some came younger than me. And what's amazing is that when we get together, we speak Spanglish. We go both ways. Why? Because we express the thoughts. And that's part of the language issue. You know, we don't really, you know, I often, when I was younger, people would say, do you think in Spanish? You translate. And I go, not really. Once I was fully bilingual, I just spoke. And it just comes out. Whatever expresses your thought better comes out. Well, when you're speaking to people like you that are immersed in both languages and have very similar things, then we are completely. So this group got together and we began a quest because all of us are very thankful to this country for giving us the opportunity to reach the American dream, and I'm one that I think I've done it. And I continue to give back and pay it forward as I reach out to leave it better for you guys, because this is about what we are. So we began the quest to donate a statue to Atlanta of José Marti. José Marti was a Cuban patriot that was very focused on education. Those of you with a phone, you may want to Google and find the man. This man has about 100 statues globally in recognition of his efforts toward education, his efforts about equality, freedom, etc. This man was killed in the field at 42. He spoke 3 languages, had been an ambassador in South America, in Paris. There are statues of this man in Rome, for goodness sakes, in recognition of his accomplishments everywhere else. How many of you have heard the song Guantanamera? Really? Those are his poems. They're from the Versos Sencillos. So when we were looking for a location to place his statue, I began the quest. I was the door knocker, I guess, of our group that relied on me to do it. And when we finally dedicated it in June this year, finally, one of my comments, and we were speaking about this last night, was how many doors I knocked, how many Southern no's I got. Any understandings of a Southern no? These are very polite people that don't tell you no, but then time passes and passes and they don't say yes. So eventually I got it. I said, yeah. In Miami, or Cubans, we're kind of like New Yorkers. You know, if you ask me, we're going to tell you. You know, so you want to build a statue here? No. You know, we're too busy. We got too many other things. Find another place. But now I prefer that because I know what to do next. So, but, you know, after a while, 6 months, a year, I got it. I understand. Fine. We're going it. But during that process, I found Rodney Cook. And Rodney Cook Right away, loved the idea. Rodney Cook is the president of the Millennium Gate Museum and the author of the park, the Peace Park. He is the man behind that. And we began speaking. We became friends during this process. And he began working on me and flipped me to help him do the education part of peace. So what you're seeing here is a collaboration among many people that we just happen to get together, find ourselves, and find a common ground. Totally different angles. He's an artistic individual. He's what I call old Atlanta royalty. Amazing, amazing person. Knows everybody, my goodness sakes. You know, he's got pictures of President Carter and him shaking hands in places. He's got pictures of the Prince of Wales and Mother Agnes. Mother Agnes in Italy and so forth and so on. And he was even instrumental in working with peace to get President Trump to go on the DMC. So there were a group of them that were trying to extend peace and used in working generals and priests and Orthodox priests and in other religious organizations to work with the White House and said, extend this to the unification of Korea. So all that to say, this is Jose's baby. I'm working with a number of people, including, they know that I'm doing it, they just don't know to what extent. But please understand that this is not a region, the Board of Regents policy that we're getting to, even though the chairman knows that I'm doing it and so forth and so on. So I sometimes can be a loose cannon, and I don't want to be that. So, and that is my company, of course. The whole concept of me and education is, I think, education is truly, truly the great equalizer. It actually gives us the opportunity to achieve great things. And I know that a lot of young people, and I was in class before, a lot of young people go, well, it's not what you know, it's who you know. How many of you have heard that? It's not who you know, it's not what you know, who you know. And that gets repeated. Well, let me tell you, it's not true. It's not true. It's what you know. Now, if you know a lot and nobody knows that you know, yeah, it doesn't help you. But if you don't know, if you don't have the tenacity to get things done, if you don't have the knowledge to get things done, and a lot of people know you, they're not going to hire you. Okay? In a pickup game, when you pick a team, what is it that who do you pick? Your best friend? You know your best friend well, right? But if he or she cannot play, you're going to get him on your team? I don't think so. It doesn't happen that way. So get that out of your head. You need to know. You need to know. So know and work to know people so that they know that you know. And then that is the real answer. So sorry about the preamble. So getting on with it, what is a region? People go, region this, region Perez, region, So I go, oh my goodness, I didn't really seek the position. I was asked to do it, and when asked to serve, I said yes. We are supposed to be running it. We govern the USSG system. These are 26 institutions in Georgia, and that's where we are. So there are 19 of us, 14 by congressional districts, that's how many we have in Georgia, plus 5 at large. Now, there are a lot of, we're in the news all the time about something or other. There's 19 of us and probably 24 opinions, okay? There's a lot of us, and we all are 8 personalities trying to get a lot of things done. And, speaking about things I was saying this to, I won't do his name, but for example, we Cubans, and you heard me say it before in a presentation, we typically say things to each other culturally, friends and business and so forth, is that we don't just say, forgive me, I have a different opinion, or don't share your view in this, etc. We tell each other, no, you are completely wrong on this, okay? It's not you're a little wrong, but you are completely wrong. You are way out of left field. You don't know what you're talking about. And we're still friends. So this is part of the culture that I was speaking about, how different it is. So often you will find people of all types, especially across cultures, and because of that, we have different ways of expressing it. I feel comfortable with that, but during one of our Regent meetings, I said that to a fellow Regent. He goes, no, we can't work that way. You cannot tell me that. I said, well, I didn't mean it to be offensive. I just think you're out in left field. But, but we went on from there. But so in order for academic programs to be added, they has to be recommended by the president of the institution, the chancellor, and then approved by the Board of Regents. So once we have this project in effect, this pilot that I'm going to present to you, that's the process that it needs to go through in order to become blessed. Now we have a strategic plan that we call 2025. And we are emphasizing adaptability. Then I underline essential skills, because that's what we're talking about as we move on. And then lifelong learning and partnerships. So we see that the people that hire you as you complete your studies are looking that you are able to work in teams, to think creatively, to solve complex problems, and the ability to function well in many situations. How is that important? Well, that's an important life circumstance. This is what we need to do every day. We need to be able to deal with many different circumstances. So, essential skills. So we expect the student of peace and conflict studies to be able to create successful paths to peace. Well, when I first heard from Rodney about peace, my days, and I guess I am a baby boomer, but because we came here as 12, 13, we never had teenage years. We've been working forever, my wife and I, so we are boomers, but we never experienced the booming thing. So got to college, I worked many hours, so the peace generation escaped me. I was too busy earning a living. I understood the process, but could never really get there. So when I first heard peace studies, I was relating to those experiences during the Vietnam War and all that, and the demonstrations and peace, man, or whatever. And I said, what's that? In order to become a diplomat, so forth, that makes sense. But if my kids had come to me and said, Dad, I want a peace degree, I would have said, what does that do? What are you going to do with it? And so forth. However, as I got to understand exactly what's behind it, is that these essential skills that we're talking about, that we really want, is what peace studies do. It enables you to do the conflict resolution, being able to work together with others, etc. So that is key to survival, bottom line, and to be able to progress in business. Now, I didn't really learn to do that. My learning of that, I didn't study it. What I learned it was on-the-job training kind of thing. I was adapting. I came to a classroom one day and I said, do you speak Spanish? And the teacher said no, and that was the end of that conversation. So, speaking of, I came to live with my grandfather. I remember I still have my first report card, and it has an F in English. Well, I came in February. I got an F in English. I didn't know how to speak English. What do you expect me to have? And I remember he was a man of very few words. He was upset. He goes, "What? You go to school to eat lunch?" Shut it down. That was it. No more conversation. You go to school to eat lunch. Maybe you got something else better to do. Okay, so that lit the fire. I needed to go do that. So what I did was actually speak, and please, I put in quotes, peace tech. I don't know how many of you are familiar with fintech. Anybody? Fintech is a number of courses that we could get people to either certify to have a minor in the financial industry uses them. So I wanted a placeholder. I didn't want to call it peace or whatever, so I kind of put peace tech together. But Kennesaw has come up with a curriculum of 18 hours that we can come up with in peace studies. And why Kennesaw has it is because I surveyed the entire market, in Georgia, actually nationally and internationally, and we have, Kennesaw was the one that had the most courses. So I asked them to please do it, and they've done it. So we're in the process of evaluating that. Okay, so also in Gwinnett County, we have the Gwinnett County Public Schools. So this is kind of the reason why I named it 3RK20. I don't like reinventing the wheel, so rather than having a peace university per se, as somebody wanted, said, what resources do we have in place? How can we adapt or adopt what's already in place to get it done? So Gwinnett has a 3R program that they call respect, rights, and responsibility. So that blends in with everything we're talking about on the peace side. In other words, everybody knows, well, you guys probably know your rights better than I do, but it seems like everybody knows their rights. But the respect and responsibility sometimes we leave behind. So responsibility, if you end up your college education having $100,000 debt, you miss the financial responsibility for it. So I hope that you don't do that, be able to work through that. So we have in Gwinnett County, so I'm using that as a pilot. One reason is that I'm very familiar with it, but the real reason is that they have 1 out of every 4, and I think it's even more now. It's less, 1 out of 3.5 people in Gwinnett were born in a different country. So we have a real cultural melting pot there. They speak more than 100 languages in the schools. So we have kids that are growing up like I did that were probably children of parents that don't speak the language well, et cetera, that need to adapt to the culture and so forth and so on. And that is what's going on there. So, and this is how we wanted to do it. The what, and then use the sample that exists, and then the implementing it. So I hope that by the end of next year, we have this in place. That flows from a supply chain basis from high school through higher ed. Now, the higher ed, usually peace studies go graduate students. Peace studies now we're trying to bring down to undergraduate. And then what happens is that you can be an accounting major, take these courses and become an accounting major that understands how to negotiate and all that. How many of you are accountants? Anybody wanting to be? Okay, one. Okay. I'm an economist. So by definition, we look at future, we look at, opportunity cost, and accountants would always go, no. Cost is accounting cost. No, because we're giving up all these other stuff, and you have to incorporate that in the cost. No. So accountants and economists are always arguing because we have different versions of what the cost is. I know. The IRS does not accept accounting, economic costs, but that's the case. But we want you to be equipped. So I think by the end of next year, we will have something working that we could incorporate in that peace part so that we can begin to replicating it through the rest of Georgia. So the whole idea is Gwinnett is likely to be what Georgia would look like in 10, 20 years, depending what region you're in. And if we can begin incorporating all this peace process from when the kids are young through, and then the peace part comes in and is being touted, for example, as Andy Young is a co-chair of the park, so he's helping. And he made the comparison that because he was co-chair of the '96 Olympics, he made the comparison that this was like another Olympic, or perhaps a Super Bowl, because we would be able to be the home, the Western home to the peace laureates. So we would have meetings there, attract them. It's a field of dreams. Build it and they will come. So it is not a guarantee, but perhaps it will be. Nevertheless, I automatically assume when I began working on things that is the worst that can happen. What is the worst that can happen? Well, the worst that can happen is that the Western office of the peace laureates do not come. The education that we have planned here will work regardless. Atlanta, the greater Atlanta area today, in terms of population, is over 6 million. And that is greater than Missouri, than the population of the state of Missouri. If you look at the GDP, gross domestic product, it is like worldwide, it's roughly 55th in the world. We're comparing what Greater Atlanta produces to countries, and we're number 55. So that's truly amazing what that is. That presents a problem as far as out of Atlanta, Georgia, because it becomes a brain drain, I believe, and we need to resolve that. And I'm willing and certainly able to help with that. How do we keep our brains down here? All righty, so this is, I'm going to go through some of these slides a little faster, but this is what GCPS is implementing, Gwinnett County Public Schools, in terms of more of a civics organization. But you will notice that the theme throughout is people working together and having to negotiate and having to work out on a product, taking a vote, deciding, etc., which is on-the-job training, kind of, with guidance along with teachers and so forth. They also have been very effective working with junior achievement. So during middle school, they have what they call a discovery school. And in the Discovery School, they bring in 25,000 middle school students, and they circulate them through, and they have there like Home Depot, this other business, and so forth. And the groups of students need to come up with a working plan, a business plan, and so forth, and negotiate with each other, and vote and present financials and so forth, how to get it done. The academy in high schools goes beyond that, and it has a full immersion, school within a school. They even have that you can walk away with pathways in business technology, entrepreneurship, marketing management, financial services. You could even launch a business within these high schools that have that. Launch your own business, and you have a way of getting advice by your teachers and mentors and so forth, and establish a foothold even before you leave high school with the help of everybody. So these are the courses that KSU developed. So notice that so far, this is what they recommended. And for each of them, there is a required. And I kind of pushed to that. I said, I want something that is hardwired, and the rest can be more flexible. But look at it, that we have two news, the Objective 2 and Objective 3. There are two new courses. Why? Because they're existing courses. Remember, I don't like to spend a lot of time and research. These are courses that exist now, but they're graduate courses. They're not undergraduate. So a student of any type, any particular major, could take these courses and then get that certificate, or become a minor, or just a concentration. But they get the ability now not only of their main course in finance, but so if we make that part happen and we have a tremendous growth in global businesses, what do you think they're looking for? Well, they're looking for the finance, they're looking for the political aspects of it, but they're also looking for able to work across cultures. Now, part of my background is international, so I've done a lot of business elsewhere, and Lord knows, I was sent to Portugal because I spoke Spanish. In Brazil too. So I guess we're all the same. But the interesting part of it is that I can read most of it, but the pronunciation is so different. I can read French too, but most of it. But Italy is the only one that I can do best in. So give me a week and a half in Italy, I'm negotiating in the middle of the street, but with them because it's so close to Spanish. But remember, my Spanish is sixth grade Spanish. So I go to Buenos Aires and I'm dealing with an attorney, educated in law school, and that attorney has me. I cannot debate with him because I don't have the language as extensive as his. Now, I'm stubborn, so I can beat him in other things, but with that. So that's, in essence, what we've done. The interesting aspect of it, of what we want to do, is that this is ARCH, okay, which is the Atlanta Regional Council of Higher Education. These are the institutions in Greater Atlanta. We have 19 institutions. I didn't know until I began looking at this, that is, we're competing with Boston. You know, I remember going to Boston and taking a cab, and the cab driver was a PhD candidate. I was like, wow, he's a highly educated taxi driver. Well, we're getting to that in Greater Atlanta. It's truly amazing. So you can be in any of these universities, in any major, and take these peace courses and get credit for it in the institution that you subscribe. How am I doing? Okay? All right? So that's the very intent. Now, I'm leaving this presentation behind, and I often do this so that you can have it and read through it. And please, my number is there as well as my email, so feel free to call me and ask me more detail or a better explanation that I'm giving you now. So these are pictures of the park. Obviously, that's not the final park. I mean, that's what it should be or look like. The park is open, it's landscaped, but the structures that you see there are not there yet. Okay, so they should be there 2 to 4 years from now. And you can see that exactly. And how will it be used? Now, look at this one. These four pictures in the bottom, that's in place. And that's the John Lewis statue. The John Lewis actually sanctioned while he was still alive. And the Atlanta Journal-Institution interviewed him, and he said it was like looking at the mirror. So who you see there is the mayor of Atlanta in the middle, Andy Young on the right, and that's my good friend Rodney Cook, the tall guy on the right. So that statue has made such an impact that the United States Congress has requested a copy of it. And it's ready. There's been a replica already built. And what we're planning to do, it's always about money, isn't it? So study hard, guys. Economics really helps understanding money. We need to raise money, and the plan is to make a trek from Atlanta, Georgia, take the statue all the way over to South Carolina, to Sumter, Fort Sumter, show it, and go all the way up the coastline and deliver it to Washington, D.C. This is a plan that's bipartisan. Okay, so we will have both Democrats and Republicans associated with it because we want to do what? We want to work together. We want to resolve issues. This is about peace. Let's quit arguing. Let's get it done. So by definition, I never studied the process, but I was always anxious to get it done. So what is it that I need to do so that you'd be happy with it? That comes up, it brings a smile because, the arguments that we have, and my wife is also very stubborn and also very Cuban, and she will approach me and goes, be reasonable, do it my way. and this is, it has, I poke fun at her, in front of her, not behind her back, and she laughs at it now because she does it. She knows she does it. And now it's become a staple of the household. And sometimes when our sons and daughters, even grandchildren are visiting, they go, Dad, be reasonable, do it her way. But I think it's absolutely marvelous that Rodney Cook has had this idea. And I'm delighted to be part of this effort. And you can see some of the things that are being done. Now, speaking that on the very top of that tower, there is a chief Tomojiji. He was a chieftain when the British came here. And I didn't know that, but that statue is also done. We had trouble getting it at the park because of regulations and this and that, and people were not deciding. So Rodney put it in front of his museum. It's a beautiful statue. It's over 12 feet tall on top of a pedestal, and it's all bronze. It's gorgeous. But this what this man did was welcome the British and show them around and adapted to this new culture to the point that the British took him back to England. And the king actually liked them so much that he enabled him to be the king of the new world, sort of thing. And so that is one of the main themes of the park, the Tomojiji Statue. This is the Georgia Nobel Peace Prize Pantheon that's planned. The Shin Da-young Global Peace Institute. This is the Korean fellow, and I've met him. What a wonderful and brilliant man. He is dedicated himself to bringing Korea back to one unit. And he was the one, or one of the ones in that group that enabled Trump to do that peace reach out. So as you can see the bottom in italics, the Nobel Peace Prize have expressed a desire to have the office here. But once again, it's about money. It's about money. How do we fund it? How do we bring it? Each time that they have a particular event here, it's $400,000. Because not only we have to pay for everything, but however, in this Pantheon, there will be some office space for them, as well as like one of those hotels that are extended stay, with, of course, good service, and a restaurant, etc. And this is the Ambassador Andrew Young Peace Institute. He's completely vested in this. This is an individual that, amazing. I can't say that I know him well, but I've had the pleasure to shake his hand, sit with him, and talk to him. He's an amazing man, still with it, as old as he is, amazing. And well, we'll make it happen. Every day is a new day that brings one more thing. So we need to develop this. What's in the name? Me, target market trends. What do? Well, we help you increase earnings. How do we increase earnings? Well, we generate a way of accessing new markets, entering new markets, or introducing new products. In business, and obviously, clearly, I'm a businessman, how do we do that? Well, how much is in a name? So, as has been mentioned before, and I'll mention it again, the name peace doesn't really sell well. All of us that understand it now know it and understand what it brings. But if you're outside, you know, it's like you were mentioning peanuts, right? Okay, I'm Cuban. We did not have peanut butter in Cuba. The first time I saw that, I said, "Really? We're supposed to eat that? What is that?" You know, when we came and we needed help, and a lot of the refugees got huge metal shiny cans, and you open it up and you see this brownish stuff in there, and you go. So we, the Cubans in Miami, claimed that we were the first ones to make peanut butter smoothies. We didn't know what to do with it, right? So well, we like milk. Let's put milk in it and see what happens, right? It's already sweet, so peanut butter smoothies. You know, so we need to come up with a name. So Kennesaw is actually working, doing market research to develop a name for this peace tech, or whatever we end up calling it, that relates to industry, that relates to students, relates to parents, and the professors themselves. Because we all need to be vested in this. And once we have a name that we can all identify, I mean, everybody knows what accounting is. Everybody knows what an attorney does or thinks they do. I know so many attorneys that become attorneys that don't practice. They've done something else because it's a really tough one to get in. We need that critical skill set added to our resume. But not just a resume, but to actually get things done, to be able to negotiate, to be able to work things out. It is really hard for me to understand why it has to be 100%. In families, I mean, you know, we have 3 kids. I love the 3 of them, as we all say, equally, right? All 3 have different ways of being. All 3 have different, and we're all fine with that. Why? Because we love them, we understand we want the best for them. They know we want the best for them, and they still don't agree with us. So how do we expect a complete stranger to do anything other than that? So let's work together, use the top down. I'm giving you a top down, then get the bottom up. And then at your level, university as well as your charter school, please chime in and give us a better sense of how to better do it, okay? And so nothing is written into concrete here. We're still molding it. So the bottom one is, what do you think? What do you think? Help me. Help me understand. You know, I love questions, but frankly, I love answers better. No? Nobody? Well, I'm very pleased to be here, Joanna. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me here. I truly appreciate the opportunity. Keep it in, you know, spread it. You've got my email, you've got my number, so I'm happy to be helpful. And with that, we're done? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. Thank you, Georgia Southwestern students, for being with us. I know you are headed to class now, but we hope that you have enjoyed hearing from our distinguished speaker. And at this time, we are going to break for lunch, and then we will have our afternoon sessions. But again, thank you so very much for your time and for being here with us.